So I was a young divorced woman at the time. I was water skiing in the Sacramento River Delta area, and I was a good swimmer and I was a good water skier. And I was going along for the last water ski of the day, and I had two friends in the boat, and one was supposed to be the watcher watching me. So I was going along, and by some freak accident, I fell down and the rope twisted behind my left arm and dragged me behind the boat, which would have not been too bad, except the watcher was not watching me. They were drinking beer, and I continued to be dragged behind the boat. And pretty soon, I evidently had what you would call a classic near-death experience. Now, at the time, I knew nothing about near-death experience, but I certainly knew that I was in a place of danger. My arm was hurting, I was being dragged along, and pretty soon, I'm finding my spirit out of my body. And I found myself looking down, seeing myself going behind this boat. And what happened after that was quite amazing. I experienced being in a dark tunnel. The tunnel felt familiar, it felt comfortable, it was dark, as they say, often in these stories, and I was isolated, but I wasn't afraid because I had the feeling I have done this before. I have done this before. And I went through the tunnel and my spirit came out. And when I came out of the tunnel, I was surrounded by the most beautiful flowers, glorious, colorful flowers like you don't see on earth, hues and colors that I can't even really explain to myself now and cannot really explain to you, but they were gorgeous. So I went through this area of flowers, and pretty soon I found myself out in the universe. It was full of stars and galaxies, and it was just the most glorious, gorgeous thing that you can possibly imagine. And you know what? It seemed familiar. It seemed comfortable. It didn't seem unusual, and it wasn't the least bit frightening. And I felt like I was in this heavenly, divine place, and I was just so happy to be there. I had no concerns about my body, no concerns about what was going on earth whatsoever. In my experience, I had this being appear for me, before me, and he said to me, "Are you ready to come?" It was just simple as that. And in that moment, I remembered that my soul chose to come to earth. I remembered where I was before I was born. I remembered that all of our souls choose to come here, that this is a wonderful university, that we're not here by random accident, we're not here as victims, that we come here to choose, to study, to learn, and to grow. And that on some level, this is like a wonderful theater. And as you may have heard in other stories, when people are in that light, they don't want to come back. Because in that moment you have an awakening. In that moment you often remember who you are. You remember so many things, and you have access to divine knowledge, and you have access to all the mysteries of the universe. And in my case, I saw that there's a divine plan for Earth. There's a reason for being here. And on some level we are not victims at all. There's so much more I could say about that, but my main purpose in sharing this with you is to tell you that there is no reason to fear death. You cannot die. The body dies, you lay down the body, your spirit goes on, you simply cannot die.